Do you realize that the can you opened last week might have quietly shaved 6 months off your life and you'd never even know it? That's not paranoia, that's the ugly truth nobody prints on the label. You look at your pantry and see security cheap, reliable, something you can grab when the fridge is empty or the power goes out. But what you're really staring at is a minefield: salt bombs that hijack your blood pressure overnight, chemical linings that toy with your hormones, heavy metals that burrow into your bones for decades, and bacteria so lethal you can't smell or taste them before they strike. Seniors especially need to hear this. The ER isn't full of people who ate street food in Mexico. It's full of people who trusted safe staples like canned meat, tuna, fruit cocktail, or chili foods engineered to sit for years and taste identical every single time. That consistency isn't cooking, it's industrial processing, and it comes at a price. We're talking 1,200 to 1,800 milligrams of sodium per can, phosphates that silently stiffen arteries and weaken bones, histamine surges from fish that mimic a heart attack, and bisphenols leaching out of linings. Yes, even in some BPA-free versions linked to insulin resistance, hormone disruption, and higher cancer risk. And the deadliest threat of all, botulinum toxin, completely invisible, odorless, tasteless. If a seal fails, that pop top isn't dinner, it's a loaded syringe. Today I'm breaking it down: 10 canned foods to avoid at all costs, the ones that sell nostalgia and deliver health chaos, and 3 that are actually safe if you know the rules. After this, every can in your kitchen is going to look very different. Number 10, canned corned beef. Crack open a can of corned beef and you're hit with that dense slab, glistening in its own fat, almost daring you to slice it thin. For a lot of households, it's survival food, the backup for power outages or end-of-month dinners. But inside that metal casing is a chemistry set wearing a beef disguise. First danger: nitrates and nitrites. These preservatives aren't optional. They're what give that meat its pinkish hue and keep bacteria at bay. But once inside your body under stomach acid and heat, they can form nitrosanes, compounds the World Health Organization flat out calls carcinogenic. That's not me stretching, it's listed alongside tobacco smoke and asbestos. Now factor in the salt. 1 cup of canned corned beef averages 1,400 milligrams of sodium. That's nearly the entire daily allotment for anyone managing high blood pressure or heart disease. And seniors, you're practically gambling with water retention, arrhythmias, and medication failure. And don't forget the fat: half a can can push 40 grams, most of it saturated, the kind of fat that gunks up arteries faster than a teenager devours pizza. Studies tie high saturated fat diets to accelerated cognitive decline. Yes, corned beef might literally clog your brain as well as your heart. And then comes the packaging. Acidic fat leaches into the can's lining, pulling out bisphenols and phthalates, both linked to hormone disruption and fertility issues. But for seniors, the bigger risk is insulin resistance and increased cancer markers. Bottom line, that convenient brick of beef isn't just filling your stomach, it's stacking salt, fat, carcinogens, and chemical residue into a trap disguised as tradition. A thrifty baker's dream. But here's the secret no label screams: evaporated milk is heat-treated until nearly scorched, creating a cocktail of compounds called advanced glycation end products, AGE. These nasty little molecules form when sugars and proteins fuse under high heat, and they're linked to faster aging of tissues, stiffer arteries, and even vision decline. For seniors already battling oxidative stress, AGEs are like throwing gasoline on the fire. 1 serving can pack 15 grams of lactose sugar, and here's the kicker. Most people over 50 have some degree of lactose intolerance, meaning bloating, cramps, or worse. But beyond discomfort, those sugar hits accelerate blood sugar spikes that hammer away at insulin resistance. Now let's talk fat. Evaporated milk isn't fat-free. A half cup carries 8 to 10 grams of fat, nearly half saturated. Add that to morning coffee or dessert, and suddenly your cholesterol report isn't looking so good. And don't trust the fortified label. Vitamin D and A get added back in, but in synthetic forms your body doesn't absorb as efficiently. Now layer in the packaging risk. Most dairy-based canned products have thicker epoxy linings to prevent corrosion. That means higher bisphenol migration than you'd get from canned beans or tomato. In 2023, European regulators all but declared that no safe level of BPA exists, while here in the US, regulators drag their feet. For cancer survivors or anyone with hormone-sensitive conditions, that's a gamble not worth making. What looks like an innocent pantry backup for baking actually drips with sugar, fat, and heat-damaged proteins that accelerate aging from the inside out. Number 8. Canned mushrooms. Pop that lid and out slides a soggy gray heap of mushrooms swimming in brine. Looks harmless, but mushrooms are like sponges. They absorb whatever is in their growing environment. Studies show canned mushrooms often carry measurable residues of cadmium, lead, and even arsenic. Heavy metals that don't flush out of your system easily. They build in your bones and kidneys, weakening both over time. The FDA admits low levels are expected, but European regulators set strict lifetime limits for a reason. Once your kidneys are damaged, they don't bounce back. Then comes the salt. A half cup of canned mushrooms can sneak in 500 milligrams of sodium, nearly half the daily safe limit for someone on heart meds. But the biggest hidden danger is bisphenol migration. Mushrooms are low acid, meaning they require aggressive sterilization. The hotter the process, the more the can lining leaches into the food. Consumer Reports found BPA levels in some mushroom cans 4 to 5 times higher than canned tomatoes. For seniors already dealing with blood sugar swings or hormone-sensitive cancers, that lining is the hidden landmine. And don't overlook texture agents. Many brands soak mushrooms in sodium metabisulfite, a preservative that can trigger asthma attacks, headaches, or hives. Even the organic labels often contain citric acid that can upset sensitive stomachs. The saddest part, nutritionally, canned mushrooms don't deliver much. Vitamin C, antioxidants, and delicate phytonutrients are wiped out in processing. What you're left with is salty, soggy filler laced with residues, metals, and chemicals. You could saute fresh mushrooms in 5 minutes and get real antioxidants instead of gray sludge that quietly chips away at your health. Number 7. Canned sardines in oil. This one hurts, because sardines should be a powerhouse food loaded with omega-3s, calcium, and protein. But once they're canned in oil, especially soybean or sunflower oil, the story flips. Those oils oxidize during processing, creating lipid peroxides, compounds that literally attack your cells, speeding up artery plaque formation and joint inflammation. Older adults, already battling arthritis or stiff arteries, are pouring fuel on the fire with every oily bite. And sardines are no exception to the mercury problem. While smaller than tuna, they still accumulate heavy metals from polluted water. Eat them often enough and mercury quietly builds in your nervous system, triggering memory lapses and tremors. Then comes the salt. A small can averages 400 to 500 milligrams of sodium, and if you eat the whole tin with crackers, you've doubled it. But the real curveball, histamine. Improper storage before canning allows histidine in the fish to convert into histamine. Once that's formed, heat doesn't kill it. Open the can, eat the fish, and you risk headaches, rapid heartbeat, and flushing, the infamous scombroid poison. For older adults, it feels like a heart attack in a snack. Add the can factor, oil and salt accelerate bisphenol migration from the lining. Even BPA-free isn't safety guaranteed. Replacements like BPS are showing similar hormone-disrupting effects. Nutritionally, the calcium in sardines is real, but it comes with phosphorus that stresses aging kidneys when taken in high doses. And if you're on potassium-sparing meds, beware. Some brands add potassium chloride to boost flavor. Bottom line, sardines in oil promise heart health, but quietly deliver inflammation, heavy metals, and packaging chemicals. Stick with fresh or sardines in water if you want the benefits without the baggage. Number 6. Canned potatoes. You wouldn't think spuds could be dangerous, but canned potatoes are a different beast. Peeled, blanched, and canned in brine, they arrive mushy, flavorless, and stripped of most nutrients. The first red flag is acrylamide. When potatoes are heat-treated at high temperatures, as they are before canning, acrylamide forms a chemical the National Toxicology Program lists as a probable carcinogen. For seniors with decades of cellular wear and tear, that's not a gamble worth taking. Sodium, brace yourself. A single cup of canned potatoes can load you with 400 to 600 milligrams of salt. Eat them as part of a stew or breakfast fry-up and you're stacking blood pressure spikes on top of hidden risks. And here's a cruel twist. The processing destroys vitamin C and delicate antioxidants, leaving you with starch and salt. No fiber boost, no real benefit. But it doesn't stop there. Potatoes are naturally prone to glycoalkaloids, compounds that can cause nausea, diarrhea, and neurological issues when concentrated. Normally, peeling and cooking reduces them, but improper storage before canning allows levels to rise. In 2022, several recalls hit the market for canned potatoes that tested above safety thresholds. Add in the can linings, which leach faster into starchy foods, and you've got a product that quietly erodes health with every serving. The saddest part, fresh or frozen potatoes are dirt cheap, cook in minutes, and carry none of these risks. Yet seniors on tight budgets often stock the canned kind, not realizing they're trading pennies saved today for medical bills tomorrow. Canned potatoes aren't just bland, they're biochemical booby traps, hiding in plain sight. Number 5. Canned meatballs in gravy. You see them stacked on shelves in dollar stores and discount bins. Pop-top cans promising dinner in minutes. Meatballs swimming in brown gravy. Sounds hearty, right? But let's rip off the label and look closer. The first thing you're eating isn't meat, it's fillers, soy protein concentrates, textured vegetable protein, breadcrumbs and phosphates that glue it all together. That gravy, it's thickened with modified starch and caramel coloring. Class 2 and Class 3 caramel, the kind the International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, flagged as possible carcinogens. Each serving piles on 801,000. That's one can equaling 2/3 of your daily salt budget in one sitting. But the quiet assassin here is phosphate additives. They keep the meat springy and the gravy glossy, but nephrologists warn that highly absorbable phosphates accelerate kidney decline, harden arteries, and weaken bone. For seniors already juggling reduced kidney function, this is a direct hit. Then comes the fat profile. A can delivers around 25 grams of fat, 10 saturated. Combine that with the hydrolyzed protein flavor enhancers, read MSG by another name, and your blood pressure, heart rate, and stomach lining all take a beating. Even worse, the can itself isn't innocent. Low-acid meat and gravy require aggressive sterilization, which increases bisphenol migration from the epoxy lining. Consumer Reports found that meat-heavy canned foods often tested at the highest BPA levels on the market. And let's not forget botulism. Gravy-based low-acid foods demand perfection in sterilization. Slip up once at the factory, and you've got a ticking toxin trap. Bottom line, canned meatballs aren't dinner. They're a cocktail of fillers, phosphates, MSG, chemical gravy and can lining toxins that leave your kidneys, bones, and arteries worse off than when you started. Number 4. Canned chicken. Now this one feels safe. White meat, clean protein, nothing to worry about, right? Wrong. Open the can, and what spills out isn't roasted chicken. It's pale, stringy shreds, soaked in brine that smell closer to tuna than poultry. The biggest problem, phosphate. Manufacturers use sodium phosphate to keep canned chicken moist and springy, but those phosphates are rapidly absorbed into your bloodstream. Harvard studies show older adults consuming high-phosphate diets experience faster arterial calcification, stiffer joints, and worsening kidney function. A half cup of canned chicken can carry 200–400 milligrams of phosphorus, on top of what you're already getting from dairy, bread, and processed food. Then comes sodium, about 300 milligrams per tiny serving. Eat the whole can, which everyone does, and you're at 700 milligrams before you add bread or mayo. And here's the kicker. It isn't just sodium chloride. Many low-sodium versions use potassium chloride, fine for the young, but if you're on ACE inhibitors or spironolactone, hidden potassium can push you into hyperkalemia, a deadly heart rhythm imbalance. Then there's the lurking danger of listeria. Poultry products, even when canned, have been repeatedly recalled for contamination. Unlike botulism, listeria thrives in chilled, ready-to-eat foods after the can is opened. Seniors are 20 times more likely to be hospitalized if infected. Add in BPA migration from the can's epoxy lining, accelerated by poultry fat, and suddenly your protein shortcut looks more like a gamble. Fresh chicken freezes beautifully. Rotisserie leftovers can be portioned and stored. But canned chicken, it's a chemical bath wrapped around protein fibers, sold as convenience, but cashed in as risk. Number 3. Canned beef stew. Crack open a can of beef stew and you're met with chunky potatoes, fatty beef cubes, and a thick sauce that smells like Sunday dinner. But look closer, it's not hearty comfort food, it's a sodium minefield. One can averages 1,400–1,000 milligrams of sodium, nearly your entire daily allotment for blood pressure control. Add crackers or bread and you're instantly over the limit.
But it's not just salt. The gravy is thickened with modified starch and monosodium glutamate, MSG, which some seniors find triggers migraines, dizziness, or palpitations. Those beef cubes, tenderized with sodium phosphate, locking in water weight, while spiking your phosphorus load, a hidden kidney stress. And then comes the fat, 20 grams per can, much of it saturated. That's the kind of fat that fuels bad cholesterol buildup. But here's the darker truth. Botulism risk. Beef stew is a low-acid. It requires high-pressure sterilization, and if the process falters, even slightly, spores can survive. The CDC still documents rare but deadly cases tied to underprocessed stews. And don't forget the packaging. Fat and starch pull bisphenols out of the lining at higher rates than acidic food. Europe has banned BPA in food cans outright, but here in the US you're still rolling the dice. Nutritionally, most vitamins are nuked by processing. What's left is starch, fat, salt, and chemical stabilizer. The sad reality: homemade beef stew in a slow cooker costs less, freezes better, and delivers protein, vegetables, and flavor, without the can lining roulette. What you thought was hearty comfort food is really a chemical-laden sodium bomb that chips away at your kidneys, heart, and arteries. Number 2. Canned mac and cheese. You know the one, the bright orange pasta, swimming in cheesy goo, sold in cans for kids of all ages. It smells like nostalgia, but delivers a metabolic punch. Let's start with the sodium. A single can racks up 1,000. That's like swallowing half a tablespoon of salt in one sitting. The cheese sauce, not real cheese. It's a mixture of whey protein concentrate, vegetable oils, emulsifiers, and powdered cheese derivative. To stabilize that neon color, many brands rely on artificial dyes, including Yellow 5 and Yellow 6, both flagged in European studies for hyperactivity risks and possible carcinogenic effects. The fat load, around 20 grams per can, 8-10 saturated. That's enough to tilt cholesterol in the wrong direction, especially when eaten as comfort food multiple times a week. And the starch thickeners are engineered to boost shelf life, not nutrition. Then comes the phosphorus bomb, sodium phosphate again, locking in that creamy texture, while adding an invisible strain to your kidneys. For seniors on dialysis or with reduced kidney function, this is exactly the type of phosphorus that accelerates decline. And don't forget the sugar. Yes, sugar. Many canned mac and cheese sauces add corn syrup to balance acidity, stacking empty calories onto an already overloaded meal. As for the can, acidic tomato pastes are bad, but fatty cheesy sauces are worse at pulling bisphenols from lining. That's why canned mac and cheese repeatedly tests high in chemical migration studies. Bottom line, what looks like a safe comfort food is really a chemical soup of dyes, phosphates, fats, and sodium. A trap in disguise, especially for aging bodies. Number 1. Canned hot dogs, aka Frank's in a can. Yes, this exists, and it's the worst of the worst. A can full of soft, pale hot dogs floating in salty liquid. It's the Frankenstein's monster of food science. Each dog is a mash of mechanically separated meat, soy fillers, starches, and a cocktail of nitrites and nitrates to preserve color. Those nitrites form nitrosamines, proven cancer-causing compounds. The World Health Organization flat-out calls processed meat a Group 1 carcinogen, the same category as asbestos and tobacco. Sodium, brace yourself. One can delivers 1,500–2,000 minerals. That's more than your entire day's worth in a single snack. Fat, around 25 grams half-saturated, plus trans fat derivatives from the stabilizers. And don't forget the phosphate additives, quietly overloading your kidneys with phosphorus. But here's the kicker. Hot dogs in a can are a botulism nightmare. Low-acid, fatty, protein-heavy foods are the hardest to sterilize. If processing misses the mark by even a fraction, spores survive, toxin forms, and your snack becomes a paralysis trap. And even when safe, the can lining adds its own risk. Bisphenol A levels in meat-heavy, fatty products test off the charts. Even BPA-free versions often swap in BPS or BPF, which researchers are now linking to the same hormone disruption, insulin resistance, and increased cancer risk. Add in the artificial smoke flavoring rich in polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAZ, another group of carcinogens, and you've got every red flag in one can. What's marketed as cheap protein is really a chemical cocktail of cancer risk, heart strain, and kidney overload. Out of every canned food in your pantry, this is the one to throw away first.